Well, let's find the domain of this function, and domain is saying what x values are possible. Usually I will do the math first and then use the calculator to check my answer, but sometimes I just feel like switching it up. So what I'm going to do is graph it first. So that was an x divided by parentheses the square root of x, and then get out of the square root minus 2. And then parentheses, and let's see what the graph looks like. All right, so I can see that on the left side there is nothing. So left of 0, there's nothing. And the graph goes off like this, seems to be just fine, but I should zoom out. Oh, and then I can see that we've got a problem at 4. X equals 4 seems to be an asymptote. I could even double check that by going to trace and putting a 4, and the calculator said that is non-existent. Okay, so it seems like positive numbers are okay, except for that x equals 4. Otherwise, it looks like it's fine. Now let's go do the math. All right, so the two rules for domain is that you cannot divide by 0. So the bottom cannot equal 0. So if you have the square root of x minus 2 and it could not equal 0, then solve this just like a regular algebra problem as if that wasn't equals. You can add 2 to both sides. And then it's going to be the square root of x cannot equal a 2. And next up, square both sides. And that is where the 4 comes from. So x cannot equal 4, just as we saw the asymptote. Okay, then the other rule for domain is that if you have a square root, whatever's inside the square root needs to be bigger than or equal to 0. Can't be negative is what it's saying. And so if we put those two together, that basically means you've got the number line going from 0 to 4. And from 0 to 4, you can include the 0. That's not a problem, because if you plug in 0 for x, then you would have 0 on top. You would have the square root of 0 minus 2. And the square root of 0 is 0, so you'd have 0 divided by negative 2 equals 0. So that means x equals 0 is allowed, so at 0 there should be a square bracket. 4 is not allowed, so you need to put the round parenthesis, and then, okay, that one wasn't very accurate. Second try, here we go. And then from 4 to infinity is okay. And then write that in interval notation. So that means it's going to go from 0 to 4, don't include 4, union, don't include 4, and then go off to positive infinity. And then I could even label it so it looks official. Here is, oh goodness, not the domain, sorry. The domain. All right, there we go.